Have you ever wondered how some people are able to achieve high levels of success while others struggle to achieve their goals and make ends meet? Or have you ever felt that you're working your hardest and you're giving your best efforts but still not getting those rewards you think you deserve? If you're sitting there and thinking this sounds like me, it's likely that you could benefit from the power of leverage. And in today's video, I'm going to give you a few examples of this and tell you can harness this power to achieve your financial goals. But before we jump into the video, if you're new around here, my name is Josh. I'm an ex-NHS physiotherapist turned property investor, and on the channel we talk about everything related to business, finance, property and self-development. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on my future videos. Well, firstly, what is leverage? So leverage or leveraging is the ability to amplify your own efforts and subsequent results using other people's time and efforts. So let's break this down into a really simple example. So imagine you have a heavy weight that you want to lift, and on your own you've got no chance. It's just too heavy. You've tried and tried and tried. It's just too heavy and it won't budge. So in this scenario, you could leverage by asking 4 or 5 friends to help you lift the object. Between 5 or 6 of you, the heavy object is no longer heavy and you're able to lift it all together. So this is leverage in a nutshell, because you've used other people's time and efforts to achieve your initial goals of lifting the heavy weight. This notion of leverage is particularly powerful in the financial world, and the good news is that you may already be taking advantage of this. For example, if you are a homeowner and you've used a mortgage product to buy that home, you have leveraged yourself into this situation as you have used the bank's money, so the mortgage funds that the bank have provided, to achieve your initial goal of buying a house. Now, using a mortgage product and leveraging ourselves in this situation is usually a necessity for the majority of us in the UK, because we don't have those large cash deposits sat around to buy a house with. However, there are people in the UK with these large cash deposits who are looking to buy their homes outright, and I get asked all the time whether this is a good idea or not. And the answer I give these people is that it depends. Sometimes it can be a really good idea, and sometimes it can be a really bad idea, depending on factors such as age and what your goals in life are. So on the plus side, I think buying a house in cash is really good, because ultimately I think in the UK people have a tendency to see taking out a mortgage and those subsequent monthly mortgage payments as a bad thing. And especially in the UK with interest rates on the rise, people do get stressed out about this a lot, and it's a lot of money per month, especially with the cost of living crisis and things like this. And also, I think in the long term, everybody wants to be mortgage free. So if you can skip this step in the beginning and go and buy your house in cash outright and skip the whole mortgage process, you're ultimately achieving those long-term goals quicker, and that can only be a good thing, right? However, from a financial perspective, you may be better off using a mortgage product to buy that home and investing the remainder of the cash elsewhere. And to demonstrate this, I'm just going to quickly show you 2 calculators so you can see for yourselves just how powerful this leveraging is in that house buying scenario that we were talking about. So first of all, we're just going to quickly look at just a general mortgage repayment calculator. So we'll imagine that we want to buy a £100,000 house with a 10% deposit. So the loan amount we want to borrow is 90k. Interest rate, I'm just going to put in 4.6. I think that's the average sort of like fixed rate at the moment in the UK. And then over how many years, we'll just put 25, because that's quite a standard amount as well. So we calculate, and it shows you that the total amount that this mortgage is going to cost us is £151,000 over the term, so 61k in interest. So now we'll go to the second part that I want to show you, which is the compound interest calculator. Again, tons of these online. So just imagine that we had the £100,000 in cash. We've taken the mortgage out using the 10% deposit, so now we've still got 90k cash left over. So if we invested the 90k just into a fund, and it's just like, I know the averages is 8% is usually the taken amount. It can be up and down, but over long term we'll use 8 because it's quite a nice round number, quite an accepted number. No additional contributions, so this is basically just invest your £90,000 at the beginning and then just forget about it for 25 years, which is obviously the same term length as the mortgage that we've already discussed. And this, and you can see here. So I couldn't actually believe this when I did the calculations just before I showed you guys. But you can see this. So we started with the 90k balance, and after 25 years, the balances ended up at 660,000. So it is £570,000 worth of interest has accrued. And if we go back to this first example, so we're saying that it was £61,000. It's cost us 61k in interest to use the mortgage product, which has allowed us to invest our £90,000 cash in a fund, which has returned £570,000 worth of interest. So basically, we've spent £61,000 in interest to gain £570,000 in interest. So crazy numbers. So this just shows you that if you leverage yourself in these situations, you use the bank's money to buy the property, keeping your cash flow fluid and readily available to invest in other funds. You can see just how much more money that you'll make. On the flip side, a person might have bought that house, 100k in cash outright, and missed out on all these potential financial interest gains as well. So yeah, it's a really, really startling, I guess, really surprising. And again, it shows you the compounding nature of money over time, and how if you're ever in that scenario where you can buy a house with cash, you really need to think twice before doing it, because you might be missing out on all that interest. And this notion of like different interest rates and being smart and creative with your thinking also applies to those people who are overpaying on their mortgage on a monthly basis, and I've got nothing against that. I think that's a really, really good idea, and it'll decrease the total amount that you'll pay over the mortgage term. So you'll save X amount on interest over the 25 years. However, using kind of like the notions that we spoke about today, let's just say your mortgage is at 5%, or you're on a variable rate at 6%, and you're overpaying each month. But however, you can invest your money in some funds that will return like 8%. So, you could make the argument that you're financially better off investing that extra £100 or £200 that you would be spending on your mortgage overpayments into a fund at 8% rather than paying your mortgage off at 6%, because, in theory, you'll be 2% interest better off per month, doing it that way as well. So mortgages, really, really good tool. Obviously, we can leverage ourselves a lot. It allows us to buy those houses that we want, that everyone needs to live somewhere at the end of the day. But however, it just shows that if you're smart about it and you're creative in your thinking, you can make them work even harder for you over the long term. Now, obviously, mortgages are just one small part of financial leveraging. I have to talk about that example because obviously, people who watch this channel, that's something that, they've either done in the past or they're looking to do in the future. However, there are other examples, for example, business loans, getting that cash up from the bank, leveraging the bank's money in order to, create a business or, maintain a business or expand your business, scale your business. That can be really, really effective. Let's say you borrow £20,000 from the bank and invest it in your business, and then you return £30,000. You can pay the bank back, that 20k plus any interest accrued, and you're left with the profits as well. So I've spoke about how we can use leveraging in the financial world, but I just want to quickly also chat about how we can use leveraging in our personal lives when it comes to our time. For example, if you're a business owner, the most common type of time leverage is hiring other people, hiring employees and delegating tasks to them. So, you can delegate those tasks, things that you particularly don't find enjoyable or things that you're not best suited at, and which allows you to do more tasks which you are better at, you are more focused on, which will help your business to grow more rapidly. Time leverage is something I'm increasingly making use of at the moment, as I'm finding that my time is becoming more valuable as I continue to work on my property portfolio and also work as a physiotherapist, in a private setting, and also some other side hustles as well. For example, I'm now paying an accountant a monthly fee to look after my personal and business finances and tax returns, which saves me countless amount of hours and headaches, at the end of each month, at the end of the tax year. And any time I do save, I can reinvest it into the business, focusing on what I do best. And any money I've paid for the accountant on a monthly basis will be made back, through that extra time I've invested. So this ability to leverage time is something that I think all successful people have. And I mean, if you think about it in really simple terms, imagine some of the most wealthiest and successful people in the world, like your Elon Musks of the world, your Jeff Bezoses, your Mark Zuckerbergs. Do you really think that they're, spending, hours of their time each month doing their tax returns? Sitting down, like doing tasks which they could probably do because they're highly intelligent people, but their time and efforts are best spent developing those businesses and making money that way. And then basically they'll just delegate those tasks and pay other people to do them. And this notion of how important time actually is really summarised nicely by Stephen Bartlett in his Happy Sexy Millionaire book, which I recently read. It's a really great book, I really recommend it, and I'll leave the link to it in the comments below so you can have a look. And he explains it as people are living their lives and treating it as it was an infinite game. So they're not achieving their goals, they're just plodding through life expecting that life is going to go on forever. Whereas everybody knows that our time on earth is finite. We only get a finite amount of time, and we get a devastatingly short time on earth during our lives to achieve all our goals. And I think only when we start realizing that time is one of the most valuable resources that there is, it can't be bought, it can't be sold. You can be a trillionaire, you can be the wealthiest person on earth, and you can never buy yourself more time. And I think it's only when we start to appreciate the importance of time and just how valuable it is, are we really able to flick that switch and become successful, not only in our personal lives but in a financial and business aspect also. But anyway guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a thing or two. I think if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video is that you need to ask yourself an honest question. Is it you who is being leveraged by other people and helping them achieve their goals, at the sacrifice and at the cost of achieving your own goals? Or is it actually yourself who is leveraging other people's time and achieving your own goals? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've got any questions, leave them there. Also, if you like the video and you like the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. I've got loads of great content coming up over the next couple of months, and hopefully see you around.